HBOMax, of course. Okay, a lot of people in the community, they're not liking what David Zaslav is doing. He's coming in, he's swinging that axe. He's murking content. He's pulling content. It was just announced yesterday on HBO Max. Apparently, they're starting to remove 36 titles. It's like cartoons, animation, movies that weren't lit. And Twitter has something to say about it. Many of the creators themselves are coming out and saying, "We worked 5 years on this show and we deserve it. It deserves to be seen." And coming from a creator's standpoint, like, I totally support that. I would be pissed if I spent 5 years working on like a project. Like, if I spent a year working on my album, my music album, and for some reason, if like I couldn't have that ability to release it for some reason, I would be really upset. So for somebody that's gonna work so long on a project, from a creative standpoint, yeah, that sucks, dude. Like, you put a lot of work into it. But also, you have to look at it from a business perspective, which is what Zaslav is doing. Who greenlit those shows to begin with? Who paid for those shows to be made to begin with? I would like to know if some of these shows that were getting pulled, were they did these creators like sell them? Did they? No, I'm pretty sure they didn't. They didn't make the show first and then get bought by HBO Max. I'm pretty sure all these shows that are getting canceled, they were bought and paid for by HBO Max. So when it comes down to it, it's not their content that they're creating. They're working on that project, but it's not their, unless it's in their contract that like they own all the rights or whatever. And in that case, they can take their project back, sell it to Netflix. But whatever the kind of deal these people made with HBO Max and Warner Brothers or whoever, if they sold their shares to that property, whether they pitched them an idea to a show, then that's on the creators for making a bad deal, dude. If I got the chance to pitch a show to like Adult Swim and it was gonna be on HBO Max, I would have to have a clause in there or something where if this content gets pulled, I want to be able to, because it's my content. If I'm pitching a show, if it gets pulled, I want the rights to be able to go and sell it off to another or lease it out to another streamer. I don't know what's going on with the creators of all these shows, to be honest. I read into the article and it said they're getting rid of 36 shows. There's a whole list. And to be honest, I've only heard of the Aquaman cartoon out of that whole list. 36 titles, and I've only heard of the Aquaman cartoon. And I watched 3 episodes of that, and it was bad, dude. It was bad. But like I said, it's not for me. Objectively, from what I normally watch, that animation wasn't a good animation. So it looked cool. The animation looked cool, but the humor wasn't for me. You know, so that's what's subjective about it. So, yeah, from a creative standpoint, it sucks. It sucks to have your project canceled, especially if you're working like 5 years on it. But when it comes down to it, who's paying for it, and what did your deal say in the contracts? You got paid for those 5 years. You know, you had to work. You're still putting in work, so you know it's not your fault. So you'll be able to get other work elsewhere. And it sucks, man. Transition periods suck for emerging companies. This happened with the Disney-Fox merger. We lost a lot of content. We were supposed to have an X-Force movie. Gambit was supposed to film. They had the sets built, the locations already like available. They were weeks away from filming, and it just got shut down. So shit happens, guys. You can't take this stuff personally. It's business. And these creators, these writers, they have deals with these people, and so they know if they're gonna get, they'll know if they'll get a cut or whatever. If they'll get bought out or something. It's all what you negotiate. Negotiate. It's a business. It's show friends. It's not show friends. It's show business, as Robert Nett would say. So yes, what do you guys think about HBO Max? This merger. How do you think David Zaslav is handling this stuff? He's ruling with an iron fist right now. He's like the Doctor Doom of Warner Brothers. He doesn't care. He has his plan. He wants to save money. Those shows were they didn't want to cut out the residuals to those shows. Apparently, it was losing. They weren't making enough to garner that. I didn't think that you get residuals on a streaming show, but that's what the article said. I assumed like when they pulled American Pickle, it says that it said this was like another article about the removal of content. It said American Pickle, it wasn't getting enough viewership, and it was costing HBO Max money to keep it on HBO Max. So why would they keep paying to keep something on their platform that's not getting them anything? They need to cut the fat. They need to take it off. I liked American Pickle. It was a fine movie. I only watched it the one time. It's not something you can rewatch. So, yeah. It may seem like the Red Wedding right now over at Warner Brothers. Hey, and it could be you either liked Game of Thrones after the Red Wedding or you didn't. It's just one of those things. Hopefully Warner Brothers, they handle it better later down the line. Like, it'll be a couple of years until we see like what's really going on, and see if the content he is in charge of is really going to affect any like the long run. Like we'll see what happens. Like 2 years from now, DC could be back on track, making a bunch of Justice League movies and all this stuff. So I don't know. Warner Brothers is in a very, like I said, it's a transitional period for Warner Brothers. Jobs are getting cut. Content's getting pulled because they are merging with Discovery. But overall, I think that's a good thing because I don't want to pay for a bunch of streaming services. I want Hulu and Disney Plus to combine into one service. I want like Discovery and HBO Max now, one service. I want everything in one spot. I remember when it was just Netflix and you could still order the DVDs, and there was a bunch of unknown independent movies on Netflix, and you could watch Netflix on like a Wii console. Like, we've grown so much in 10 years with streaming, and there's just so many options for different types of content. But I think it's necessary to put out quality content because nobody wants to spend fucking 2 hours finding something good to watch. It should all be fire. Netflix it was like peak. HBO Max has great content, but I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Out of all that whole list of 36 titles, I watch a lot of stuff. I've only heard of the Aquaman show. So I don't know. Are you guys upset? Was your favorite show canceled on HBO Max? Let me know in the comments. Let me hear it. What show was on there, and tell me why it was so good that it shouldn't have gotten pulled. Let me know.